Joining me now for his take on all this, Democratic Congressman Jim Himes, who serves on the House Intelligence Committee. Congressman, when we spoke on this program last night, you said that President Trump should speak with great specificity, great authority on Russian interference. Did he do that?
No, John, he did not. What you saw today was just a dog's breakfast of uncertainty and lack of clarity about what happened. John, what I meant yesterday, presidenting is hard, but writing the script for this meeting is not hard. And I can tell you how that script goes. That script goes, the President of the United States, when the doors close, looks him in the eye and says, Mr. Putin, I have the very best intelligence agencies in the world. They caught you red-handed. Here is the evidence. If you ever do this again or think about doing this again at a time and place of my choosing, I will put you in a world of hurt. Any questions? That's the script. And of course, that is far from what was said today. We had, conflicting accounts about what was said, about who agreed to what. If you listen to Tillerson's words, the president apparently talked about the concern of the American people, not of the president of the United States, not of the commander-in-chief, but the concerns of the American people. So sadly, I think we're teeing up to see this again.
Look, if he didn't bring up at all, you would be all over him for not bringing it up. Does he get any credit for discussing what you say is obviously a very important thing to discuss?
Well, I guess so. And look, I'll tip a hat to the fact that apparently they worked out some sort of ceasefire in Syria. We'll see if that sticks. Any conversations with the Russians, I think, are good conversations. We need their help with North Korea. We need their help with Syria. I actually am glad that the meeting occurred. I'm glad that the president was very clear on Article 5. But no, I mean, can you imagine we had this attack on our country, and if the president had not mentioned that, I mean, it would be just a historical catastrophe. So, again, I'll give him credit for some of the things that happened today, but he did not speak with great clarity. He did not have Putin walk away from this meeting thinking, boy, I better not try that again.
And then, of course, there are the divergent views of what happened. And again, Secretary Tillerson said it was one of the first things that was brought up, and it was brought up repeatedly by President Trump. You take issue with some of the accounts of how it happened, but the fact there are two versions now, the Russians say President Trump accepted President Putin's assurances that there was no Russian involvement. A senior administration official tells Jim Acosta that's not the case. What do you make of these divergent views?
Well, I don't know, but I mean, if I were the President of the United States or the Secretary of State and the Russians came out with a dramatically different account of the meeting and one that is profoundly embarrassing to me, I would have wondered if I was just the mark at the poker table. So, again, I'm concerned. And look, it doesn't surprise me, John. We've watched for months now as the President has equivocated and even denied that this attack took place. So I'm surprised that maybe there was some uncertainty about what occurred in the room.
But just to be clear, you're not suggesting you believe the Russians more than the White House, are you?
I am not suggesting that, and since there are conflicting versions, it's a little hard to know. I would hope, and maybe there's a role here for congressional oversight. It is our job as a Congress to do oversight, and I would hope that perhaps Secretary Tillerson, because this is a matter of such importance to our national security and to the integrity of our system, I would hope that maybe he would come before one of the committees of Congress and really elaborate on what exactly happened in that room.
But just to be clear, again, the Russians say that President Trump accepted President Putin's denial. A White House source tells Jim Acosta that's not the case. Given those two stories, who are you more inclined to believe?
Well, all I can do is reflect on how I've heard the president talk about the Russian attack on our election over the course of the last 4 or 5 months. And he has ranged from denying that it occurred and denying the conclusion of his own intelligence community to saying that maybe it's a 400-pound fat man, or as late as yesterday, gosh, maybe it was other people as well. We don't really know. So I would be shocked if he then turned around when the doors closed and ran the script that I suggested he should run, which is looking Putin in the eye and saying, we know you did this. That would be sort of, contrary to what the man has done over the course of the last 4 or 5 months. So again, I don't know what happened in the room. I'm not inclined to believe the Russians just about ever. But I am worried that we didn't get the point across in the way that is going to hopefully preserve the integrity of our elections going forward.
All right, Congressman Jim Himes, thanks so much for being with us. Have a good weekend, sir.